Welcome, my name is Marty and this is chair yoga. So we are going to talk initially about the benefits of chair yoga, which are strength training, also balance enhancement, awareness of our breath and our body, as well as improved mobility and flexibility. We will be using lots of props today, so I'm going to show you those props. Initially, we are going to use a ball. So this ball was purchased at a sporting goods store. It has a texture to it, which feels lovely under the feet. So it's hard. Okay, and then we also will be using a yoga block. So these can be purchased as well. This one is made out of foam, but you can also get one made out of cork. We will be using a yoga strap. So this is different than a resistive band. It's usually made out of canvas, so it doesn't give, but it actually helps to enhance our posture wonderfully. So this is a 6 foot. You can get them in 6 or 8 or 10 feet. And lastly, we will be using weights. So these are 3-pound weights. I recommend using either 1, 2, 3, or 4, or 5-pound weights, but nothing heavier than that. So we have our weights here as well. We will begin with the ball underneath the feet. So this actually has a texture to it, but you could use any ball that you have around the house. You could use a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball, a racquetball. The only benefit of this is that it's a little less dense than a tennis ball or a golf ball or a lacrosse ball, and it has that texture which actually feels lovely on the feet. So especially if you have neuropathy or diabetes, it feels lovely to stimulate the nerves in the feet. So we would start making sure that we use the ball under both feet. And even though we haven't really begun our practice, we want to start to become aware of our posture. So maybe starting to zip up through the midline, sitting a little taller than you normally would. And then once you've used the ball under both feet, we'll slide it back behind us. So once we've used the ball under both feet, we'll come even further forward in our chair. So we call it chair yoga, but we don't use the chair to support our posture. We use the strength of the body. So there are a couple key points in sitting in a chair. We want to make sure that the feet are parallel and that we're putting the same amount of pressure in each foot. And then also we want to make sure that the shoulders are lined up over the hips and that the sitting bones have the same amount of weight. It's quite common to lean into one side or favor one side. So once you got things nice and centered, we'll start to zip up through the midline, open up through the chest, and then just begin to focus on the breath. So sometimes it feels nice to bring the hands to the abdomen and inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. So while we're taking this time to become acclimated with the breath, we can check out the value or the quality of the breath. So maybe you can create a sense of depth. Maybe you can slow the breath down, especially if you've had a hectic morning or afternoon. And some people feel comfortable closing the eyes here. It's completely up to you. Once we've established that nice breath pattern, you can even bring the hands to the heart, noticing how the body responds to the breath, how the nervous system responds to the breath. And then slowly we'll release those arms down, start to roll the shoulders forward. So we hold a lot of tension in the head, neck, and shoulder area. So we're adding that mobility. We get to see how those shoulders react to the movement. And then when we release those arms down, we want to create space between the head, neck, and shoulders. Because we hold so much tension there, creating that space will help alleviate any tension that you hold. And then slowly we'll roll the shoulders back. And we'll create one more rotation here. And then gently bring the hands to the legs, heel toe those feet to a nice distance. And then slowly we'll take the gaze up toward the ceiling, finding cow pose, and exhale, rounding to cat. So now we're creating flexion and extension through the spine as we warm up. So the saying is that we're as young as our spine, so we want to make sure that we're moving it each day. And then matching the breath. So the inhalation as we look up, opening up through the chest, and then exhale as we round forward, hollowing the belly, drawing the navel in toward the spine, And then slowly we'll come back to that seated posture. This time we're focusing on that flexion extension through the neck. So we're just taking the gaze up toward the ceiling, and then as we release, the chin's coming toward the chest. I'm staying nice and stable everywhere else. And as always, we want to listen to the body. So if your range of motion is a little compromised, move to where you feel comfortable, move to where you feel strong. And then from here, we'll release the chin to the chest, start to add a little movement from side to side. So we get to compare and contrast our range of motion on each side. And then if you'd like, you can create that full rotation. So again, listening to the body and moving slow here. Our body's quite familiar with this movement, so it may want to rush you through. Keep it slow and mindful. And then we'll change direction. You may notice some interesting sounds here. That's okay, as long as you're not feeling discomfort or pain. And we'll make one more rotation here. And release the chin to the chest. So notice if you sent the weight forward, keep those shoulders stacked over the hips, release that chin a little closer to the chest, feeling that nice lengthening through the back of the neck. And then together we'll lift on the inhalation. And this time as we exhale, chin will come parallel to the earth, and we'll start to incorporate a little lateral movement. To the chair, left arm's going to sweep. And then slowly we'll come back. Right, left hand takes the chair. Right arm sweeps. And we'll continue flowing through. So notice there are a lot of modifications I can do. As that stabilizing arm comes to the chair, I can keep it long, which decreases my range of motion, but I feel much safer in my chair. So long arm. And then if I decide to bend that arm, I get more of that lateral extension, and my core has to work a little harder to maintain that balance. And then lastly, if you'd like, you can float, which requires a little more core stabilization. And I'm not falling out of my chair, which is amazing. And from here, we'll finish up, coming back to that nice seated posture, and then moving into the neck area. So now I'm dropping the right ear over the right shoulder, creating space on that left side. And then slowly coming up, notice how nice and tall I get in center, and then left ear falls over the left shoulder. And then we'll continue moving. So as you release, make sure that the ear is moving toward the shoulder as opposed to that shoulder moving up to the ear. I always want to create that space. And we're finding that lateral movement through the neck this time. We'll come back to center, ready to incorporate some movement through the spine. So now we're adding rotation. So I'm going to bring my arms to goddess or goalpost arms and add a spinal rotation. So when I do this in a seated position, with my arms in this form, I am not forcing anything. So my spine gets to lead the way. It gets to show me where it wants to move and where it needs to stop. I maintain a nice long spine here. That's the way the spine likes to rotate. And then slowly I'll come back to center, release those arms down, moving up to the neck. So same thing, looking over the left shoulder, coming back through center, looking over the right shoulder. Back through center, and again. Perfect. From here, we are going to incorporate our yoga strap. So what I'd like you to do is find your yoga strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can always use a man's tie. You can find some form of rope that you have. And I place it around my right instep, keeping that right heel pressing into the earth, and then lengthening through. So I'm going to open up through the chest, really enhance my posture here. So sitting nice and tall, and then slowly I lift and lower that right leg. So I'm just moving it to that pike position, warming up that hip, And we'll do 2 more. And then this last one, I walk my hands forward to start to create that nice stretch through the hamstring. So I'm elongating through the hamstring. I'm not compromising my posture. I'm opening up through the chest, holding here, gazing up over the toes, and then slowly releasing to that neutral position. Again, the right arm is going to hold on to the strap. My left arm is going to extend out, and then I open my right leg to the right. And together we'll tap in center for 4, and open, and 3, and open, and 2, and open, and 1. This time we'll open, holding here, checking in on the posture, crown of the head reaching up toward the ceiling, and then slowly we'll come back to center. Let the left hand take hold of the strap. Find that spinal rotation. And then slowly come back to center, pass the strap to the right hand. Left arm extends. And then the left hand takes hold of the strap. Right arm sweeps behind. Keeping that spine nice and long as you rotate. We'll do 2 more. Opening, coming back to center, rotating. Last one. Opening. And this time we'll come back to center and then take those toes up a little higher. And then slowly release back to that neutral position. Turn the foot so the outer edge has a connection with the strap. We start to bend the leg here, keeping the spine nice and long. And then you can decide, you can release that right foot to the knee, or you can release it down to the ankle. You can just rest that strap right there, and then make sure that that knee is falling to the side so that we have that rotation in the hip. And then if you're crossing at the knee, it will look like this. So if that knee is up high, we never want to force it down. We just want it to find where we feel comfortable. And then the hands come to prayer position. I zip up through the midline. I keep my chest open. And I exhale with a straight back. So when my back is straight, I'll feel a little more intensity in the hips. And then slowly I'll come up, crown of the head reaching straight up toward the ceiling. And exhale forward. And inhale up. And we'll do 2 more of these. Exhaling and inhaling. Good. This last one, as you exhale, if you'd like, you can sweep those arms back, taking hold of the chair, opening the chest a little more. Try not to collapse the head here, but keep the gaze forward. And then as we come up, we stack the shoulders over the hips. My hands come to the hips. I lengthen through, and then I round forward. And as I come up, I lift my shoulders so I can exaggerate this movement so that I can release the shoulders. Nice and low, rounding forward and up and release. 2 more here, rounding forward and up and release. Last one. And slowly coming up. Sitting nice and tall, taking hold of that strap again, extending that right leg, taking the toes up toward the ceiling. This time, maybe reaching that right hand nice and close to the right foot, left fingertips reach. And then the left hand takes hold of the strap, right fingertips reach. Our gaze is still up over the toes so that we're nice and long. And then slowly we'll release that heel all the way down and exchange feet. Okay, ready to switch to that left side. So now I'm placing that strap on the inside of that, or the instep of that left leg, and then I'm lengthening through, sitting nice and tall. So accentuating the posture here, I don't want to rush through these little pieces of our practice. And then slowly I'll lift and lower that left leg. So starting to acclimate that hip to the movement. And you get to compare and contrast each side. Usually one side is a little friendlier than the other, so this is your chance to investigate. And from here we'll lift, finding that stretch through the hamstring, sitting nice and tall. My gaze is up over my toes, and I'm breathing here. So sometimes when things get a little intense, like a hamstring stretch, we start to hold the breath. We want to breathe through. Let one breath lead you to the next. And then slowly we'll come back to neutral. Left hand's going to hold on to the strap. Right arm extends out. And we open and come back to center. and open and center. So notice my posture stays nice and strong through all of these movements. Good. And then from here, we'll open holding. And as we come to center, that right hand's going to take hold. My left arm sweeps behind. I find my spinal twist. Back to center and open. And center. And spinal twist. And center. And open. And center. And twist. This will be our last one. Finding that open position, and then finding that spinal twist, and then slowly coming back to center. Take those toes up, finding that hamstring stretch, and then coming back to that neutral position. Turn the foot so the outer edge of the foot has that connection. I start to put a bend in my leg, which rotates that hip, and I sit nice and tall. So if you start to round here, just release that foot a little further away from you to modify so that we're never compromising the posture. And then slowly we can cross either at the knee or the ankle, wherever you feel comfortable. You can also give the hands a little massage. Sometimes we hold on to that strap rather fiercely. So bringing the hands to prayer position, straight back, I'll exhale forward. And then slowly build my posture, stacking my shoulders over my hips, and exhale. And up. Good. This time as I exhale, I can reach back, take hold of the chair, open up through the chest. Nice steady breath. And then stack the shoulders over the hips, bring the hands to my hips, rounding forward. And then slowly coming up, exaggerating that movement so you can let those shoulder blades descend and forward. And up and release. One more. And then slowly coming up, taking hold of that strap. One last hamstring stretch. We're going to have the longest hamstrings ever. Left hand reaches forward, right fingertips reach. And then right hand takes hold, left fingertips reach. And then slowly we let that leg release. We release that strap. And then come to a wider stance with the legs, so about hip width. And then bring the hands to the legs. We'll move through our cow and cat just to release any tension that we may have formed while we were moving through with our hip work. And then together we'll come to our seated position. So good news, this strap can be used to help with the hip and the legs, but it also can do a lot for our shoulders as well. So what I'd like you to do is take that strap and fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. So it's a little math equation. So we're folding that strap into fours and extending those arms forward. Again, we're sitting nice and tall, and you'll notice that the arms will want to move forward of the shoulder joint. So then we lose a little stability here. So let's plug those arms in, and you'll feel everything kind of fall into place. And then inhale, take the arms up, and on the exhalation, come to shoulder height. And inhale up, and exhale. Good. Inhale, and exhale. So always matching that breath with the movement. Inhale, and exhale. This time as we come up, we'll hold here. If you need to, you can heel to those feet to a wider stance so you're nice and strong in your foundation, and we'll move, incorporating some lateral movement. So the trick is, as you move to one side, that other hip bone is going, or sitting bone is going to want to lift. So pressing it actively into the chair so that you get more of that lateral stretch. And we'll move one more time to each side. Again, staying nice and safe in our chair and coming up. Good. And exhale, release all the way down. Good. Add a little movement to the shoulders, and then bring the arms forward. This time we're putting a little bend in the arms and sweeping that strap around and then coming forward. So now we're adding a little rotation to the shoulders. And this again is nice and slow, nice and controlled. And we'll do one more in this rotation or in this direction, and then change sides. So moving in the opposite direction. And we'll make 2 more rotations here. And as we come back to center, we'll extend and then slowly release down, opening that strap to a nice wide position here. So now it's in that single form, and we're going to increase the distance between our hands so that we can inhale up. And then slowly bring the strap behind you. So extending those arms out and using the shoulders together effectively. So as a team, and then slowly coming forward. And you can always change up your grip if you need to. Inhaling up and exhaling back. Good. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Inhale and exhale. And then lastly, we'll come up, we'll hold here, and then slowly release down. Okay, our sun salutations, we'll inhale up, exhale, swan dive, inhale to our half lift, exhale, release, sweep the arms out and up, palms together, hands to heart center. And again, inhale up, so slow and controlled, exhale, release. Inhale to your half lift, exhale, release, sweep out and up, palms meet, hands to heart center. Last one, inhale and exhale. Inhale to your half lift, exhale, release, sweep the arms out and up, palms together, hands to heart center, and then extend that right leg long and add a little movement to that ankle. And then from here, you can change direction. So you're going to feel that leg working. And then from here, you can add flexion and extension. Ooh. And then slowly, we're going to bring that right knee in, draw the low back in, and then extend that right leg forward. And then draw the knee in, and then extending, and in, and extend. This time, we'll hold that knee in and come up onto our left toe. So working on that stabilization, engaging the core. I'm not collapsing here, but I'm nice and strong. And then gently releasing the right toes down as I lift the left knee up. And then slowly alternating. So it doesn't matter how high you get that knee. I want that descent to be nice and controlled. Nice and smooth. And we'll move from side to side. And you may find as you move through or progress through your practice that you can start to find a little balance point here and start to move, lifting both feet at the same time. So notice I'm not using the back of my chair, but I'm just leaning back to find the balance. And then from here, we'll release those feet down, bring the hands to prayer position. Inhale up, exhale, swan dive. Inhale to our half lift. Exhale, release, sweep the arms out and up, palms together, hands to heart center. This time I extend that left leg. I add that rotation to the ankle, and then I change direction, and then I flex and point. Feeling strong through that left leg, and then bring that left knee in, draw the low back in, extend, and bring the knee in, and extend. One more time, knee in and extend. This time as I bring that knee in, I hold here, I come up onto the right toes and I alternate. So same thing, probably feeling a little warmer through the hips. Maybe your range of motion will be a little greater. Hopefully feeling a little stronger. And then the same thing. Maybe as you bring that left knee in, you can find that balance and start to alternate. Even if it's just moving those toes up off of the mat, nice and slowly. And then slowly we'll come back to seated, hands come to prayer. Last sun salutation, inhaling up. Exhale, swan dive. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale, release. So sweep the arms out and up. Palms together, hands to heart center. And sun salutations are a great way to start and end your day. So they really get the blood pumping and everything moving. and they're wonderful. Okay, ready to introduce that block. What we're going to do is bring that block under the feet. The toes are going to be firmly on the block, heels descending off of the back so that we can increase that range of motion, dropping those heels, stretching the calves, bringing movement to the ankles. And then from here, you can even alternate. So we call this bike pedaling, lifting and lowering. And you can even heel toe those feet so that you can add a little rotation to the ankle and then change direction. So just really warming up through the feet and the calves. And then same thing, lifting and lowering. So making sure that you finish each movement and coming nice and high and then releasing nice and low. Okay. From here, we're going to bring the block to the outside of that right foot. And then slowly we're going to lift and lower that right foot, starting to incorporate movement through that hip. And then from here, we'll tap the top of the block for 4, 3, 2, and 1. This time we get to go up and over the block for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And you'll start to feel that warmth or articulation through that right hip. That's a good thing. You can always massage if you need to, but think about how applicable that is getting in and out of a car, in and out of the bathtub or shower. So it's a good movement. Hey there, we're ready for weight work. So normally in a yoga practice, we don't incorporate weights, but as we find that our mobility is compromised, it's always great to do a little strength training. That's why I advise nothing more than 3 or 5 pounds. And then if you start to feel fatigued, you can always put those weights down and just move through the motions. So initially we're going to keep those legs together, release those arms nice and low, turning the palms forward, and then slowly coming up to that 90-degree angle. From here, we've already started to engage that bicep, and then slowly we're bringing the hands up to the shoulder and then releasing to that 90-degree angle. And 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. From here, we'll find that parallel position, loosen our grip a little bit, and add a little pulse. So don't think of bouncing the weights, but keeping control and making that movement nice and small. So we still have that engagement with the biceps. They're probably starting to talk to you a little bit. That's okay. And we'll hold here. As we come back to that static hold, we want to check in on the posture, maybe draw that navel in toward the spine, and we'll hold nice and tall, keeping those shoulders low for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can take a little firmer hold of the weights as we keep those elbows in toward the rib cage and slowly release those arms out. So coming out and in and out and in. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Moving on to triceps, I'm going to send my weight forward, keeping a nice straight back, and then extend those arms back. So now I've started to engage the tricep, and slowly I'll bring the weight to the shoulders, and then extend back, and forward, and back. My gaze is forward and down so that my head and neck are in line. And we'll move through 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. From here, we'll find that extension, turn the palms up, add that little pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold here, static hold. And then slowly we'll come back to that seated position, add a little movement to the shoulders, ready to focus on the shoulders. Ready for our shoulders, we'll release those arms down, palms are turned in this time, and we're moving with control up to shoulder height and then releasing down. And then up to shoulder height and releasing. And up. So if you start to feel like you're throwing the arms up, then you need to release those weights, or just take a little break and meet us when you feel stronger. So 4 more, 3, 2, and 1, and we'll release. You can always add repetitions as you feel comfortable moving through our weight portion of our practice. Okay, we're standing, so we are going to come to the right side of our chair. Our left hand is going to come to the chair for safety, and then I'd like you to move that left leg forward and back. So just releasing that hip, and then if you'd like, you can bring that right arm forward and back, moving it in the opposite direction of that left leg. So this may be the hardest thing you do in our practice during your day. Anytime we move in the opposite direction, we really require the brain to work. So it's brain yoga as well. And then from here, we're going to come to a static hold and we're going to lift that left leg. It doesn't matter how high you lift the leg. I just want the posture to be nice and tall, the chest to be open, shoulders stacked over, hips even when we're standing. And then you can even play with the placement of that left hand. So exploring your balance here. And we'll hold just for a breath or 2 more, and then gently release that left foot directly in front of the right toes. So that left heel is coming to the tip of the right toes, and then slowly I'll move forward and back, transitioning that weight. And then we're finding our balance here, and it seems like both feet are pressing into the earth. It shouldn't be that challenging, but it actually is because of the way the feet are positioned. So from here, we want to make sure that we're not leaning into one hip or the other, that we're zipping up through the midline. And then slowly we'll turn that right palm forward just to remind the chest to stay open. Maybe turn that left palm forward and find our balance. You can always take a firmer hold of the chair if you need to. And then remember to breathe here. And then take hold of the chair. Let that left foot come back so that it's parallel with the right. We'll lift that right heel, turn the right knee out. We know those hips are nice and warm. And then you have a couple options. You can keep the toes pressing into the earth. You can bring that foot just above the ankle, or you can slide that heel just below the knee. We never want to put the foot directly on the knee. And then from here, you can slowly start to extend through the arms, holding here, and then maybe explore your balance with that left hand. So you can loosen your grip, you can change location, you can turn the palm, you might even want to lift here wherever you feel comfortable. And then slowly we'll bring those hands down. Let that right hand guide the right knee forward. Maybe send that right leg back as the right arm sweeps forward, chest comes parallel to the earth, and we'll come up to standing. Okay? So now we're going to turn the chair around so that the seat of the chair is facing us, and we are going to make our way into our table pose. So one hand on each side of the chair, and then I'm moving my feet back to where I can lengthen through my spine so that my back is nice and straight like a table. From here, I'll take a moment just to add a little movement to my hips. I can even add a little movement to my shoulders. My shoulders are here. My hips are here. I'm going to add a little movement to my hips. From here, I'll find that table position. And then slowly bring the gaze up toward the ceiling, finding cow pose. So remember that flexion and extension that we did in a seated position? Now we can do it in a standing position. And this is wonderful if you work in an office. You can always sneak that chair around and start to find a little movement for the spine. And then together we'll make our way back to table. This time we're sending those feet back. I'm lengthening through my arms. My ears are going to come between my biceps, And I'm going to hang out here. So I can hold on to the chair with each side, or I can gently bring the hands to the top of the chair and start to find a nice lengthening through the back, a nice stretch through the shoulders. You may even feel this through the hamstrings. And then remember to breathe, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And then slowly we'll bring the weight forward, start to walk the feet forward. Walk the hands up the chair so that you're coming to an upright position slowly. And then from here you can sweep those arms out. Palms meet, hands come to heart center. And then inhale up and exhale. And the last thing that we like to do to close our class is to find that ball and bring it behind your back to the back of the chair. And then we get to massage. So from here, this is the loveliest part of our practice. It's a nice restorative way to give back to the body that worked so hard. And then you can always change positions, maybe moving it over to one side if one side needs a little more attention than the other. And then together we'll release that ball. So that was a short version, but you can take as long as you'd like massaging that back. And then come forward in your chair. And I promise you that there's nothing magical about this chair or this video. You can always find this posture anywhere you go. If you're out to eat or if you're watching TV, come forward in the chair and just explore how strong you are and how you can support your posture. We'll bring the hands to prayer position, sitting nice and tall. The thumbs can find the heart fingers spread wide. And I thank you for taking this time to honor your body, and I honor your soul. Namaste.